So I have Dave here today and his dog. What's your dog's name?
This is Rufus.
Rufus? Okay.
Yeah, like the best. Have you seen Bill and Ted?
So do you want to just introduce yourself and then we'll talk about what we're talking about today?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Dave. From the UK, just outside of London. I am a personal trainer, and like Craig, I am very much into my running and gymming, etc., etc. And we're going to talk about running. I had a particular question for Craig. So yeah, I say Craig, and you say Craig, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like when I say it, it's like no egg Craig. It doesn't rime. Whereas you.
Well, so you don't say egg though?
We say no. We say egg. Egg.
Oh, okay.
Egg.
Okay.
Craig.
Because I figured like if you'd say Craig, you'd also say egg or something like that. But I guess not.
Egg. Yeah. So I'm currently running. I think. Usually I do. At the moment, I do a day in the gym, and then I will do a 14-mile run. Then I'll do another day in the gym, and then I will do another kind of 10-mile run, and then I'll take a day off, and then I'll kind of start again. So it works out that I'm taking a day off from exercise pretty much one day a week. God, that's impractical. Rufus gets down.
So is like your cardio days, is that kind of like your day off from like resistance training?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So in terms of like when I go to the gym, I'm still deadlifting a little bit and stuff, but it's mainly just a full body workout. But you know, I'm only doing 3 sets of deadlifts and maybe like 3 sets of leg presses or something. But it's no, I don't really specify. And the thing I wanted to talk to you about obviously is, see, my kind of running's obviously progressing, because obviously before I would do maybe a 10-mile day and an 8-mile day, and now it's a 14-mile day and a 10-mile day. But in terms of what we spoke about, really, I want to be able to speed up my run all across the board. So I want to be able to do a 5K sub 20 minutes, which obviously is, running fast in a shorter amount of time. But at the same time, I'd ideally like to be doing that on top of incorporating it into kind of my 8-mile runs, 10-mile runs, 12-mile runs, which probably to most people sounds impractical, doing 14-mile runs plus.
Yeah.
So, that just, but it's just a matter of getting faster whilst I am running, whilst at the same time being able to run further. So if you want to run further, obviously you've got to slow down, but I want to be able to speed up. And so what would be kind of your best advice for that? And I actually do have a few other questions for you saved on my phone, which we'll afterwards. Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay, my first question, I think just the biggest question is like, what is like your end goal? Like, do you want to be like a runner who lifts, or do you want to be a lifter who has like pretty good endurance, or like what is like your main focus, I guess?
Oh yeah. So it's mainly cardiovascular kind of. I want to be really, really fit at running. I do lifting because it's fun. It feels really, really good. I swim as well, and I cycle as well. I was doing kind of triathlon style stuff up until now, but I found that the more I was cycling, the more I was swimming, the more tired and less I was progressing in running. And I love running. Out of the 3, I love running, and the other 2 can take a back seat. So
yeah, me too.
So I stopped doing any triathlons. I stopped doing any triathlon style training as well. And now I'm just strictly running. The gym is just kind of another output, really. I do want to get stronger, and I am trying to put on weight, but running is the priority.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you want to be a runner, then, basically, which is good. I can definitely help you with that, because if it's like someone who just wants to do more running, like I can kind of help you. But like, I am a running coach, so like that I can definitely help you with that. I forgot to plug my laptop in, so it's about to die. Hold on, I'll be right back.
All right, no worries. Yo.
Okay, that's better.
I was just talking to you and you couldn't hear me, and I was like,
oh no, because I don't have the. How was that?
I thought you'd muted me.
Oh no, I just have headphones on because I don't want like echo or anything.
I was just saying, where's your family at the moment?
Where's my family?
Yeah, where are they at?
Oh, so my parents are downstairs working, like making candy, and my sister's cleaning in like the kitchen. So.
Oh, sick.
All right, so what was your so you said you wanted to like be like a runner, like focus on like running. Do you have like a goal race in mind, or?
Not really. I mean, I was going to do the Oxford half marathon, not like for any particular reason, wasn't even like thinking you're doing it for charity, wasn't doing it for any reason. Just to kind of like have one of those things, just to say, oh, I did a half marathon. But then I said to myself, well, I'm doing 2 14-mile runs a week. Why the hell why would I travel to Oxford to do a half marathon when I'm going out and doing it twice a week in my road? Like,
yeah. I see what you mean.
I just want to get fitter. Some of my kind of like heroes, fitness wise, John Joseph, and Rich Rowland, people like that, kind of, that's the level I want to go to, which is why I'm less about doing kind of like 7-mile runs. And just being able to go for longer and longer and longer. Maybe one day, I'll bang out a marathon. Maybe one day I'll do a 50K. Maybe one day I'll do the London to Brighton race. But at the moment, it's all about the training, and I'm just loving every second. And like you said in your comment the other day, you said consider training 6 days a week and doing easy runs, which when I'm with my clients, I take them for runs, which is beneficial, obviously. And I'll probably go for a gentle run tomorrow. Because your instruction was good, and I think it's a good idea. But at the same time, I still want to progress in the gym. I'm lifting heavier every time I go to the gym as well. So that's not as much of a priority as running. Like it's got, I want to be able to put on weight, get stronger at the same time as being able to run for longer and also be able to run faster, if that makes sense. So if you had to kind of recommend one thing in regards to running every single day and taking a day off and also training at the gym at the same time, or while also I train 2 or 3 clients a day as well, how would you go about that?
So like when I was in college, a lot of times we would run like 6 to 7 days a week. But that was like after like we'd all been running like since high school. So I think like 6 days a week would be good to start. And a lot of times after our hard days, like after our like tempo runs or after our VO2 max workouts, then we would lift just to like continue keeping our hard days hard and then our easy days easy. And I pretty much did like injury prevention every day just because like those are like really small drills that are just like kind of just to keep your strength. You're not trying to like do like get your hips like super strong or something like that. So like little things like you can do, like I do those like every day. But like if you want to do like full body workouts, like we would do those like twice a week usually. You could probably, if you feel great doing 3 days a week, you could do that too.
I definitely, I'd want to do that. I only want to take 1 day off exercise a week, man. I don't sit still.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Because like what would you, for me, because I still want to be able to do my 14, 15, 16-mile runs, or how long I can go for that day once or twice a week, at least once a week. So how long would you suggest I go on my kind of easy days? Would you say maybe 5 miles, 6 miles, 3 miles, just like really easy, 20 minutes? Like, what kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it depends like how much mileage you feel like you can do pretty well. Like I personally did really well on like lower mileage. Like the most I would do in a week and do well was like 50 miles. Once I started doing like 60, 65 miles a week, I kind of like started to like get slower actually. But if you personally can handle like 80 miles a week, like I had like kids on my team that were running like 100 miles a week and they were doing great.
And I like this. I'm up for that. I'm up for a challenge, This is good. Because if I'm doing right now, I'm doing 38 miles a week on average. Sometimes more. Sometimes I'll do a 15-mile run twice and then I'll do a 12-mile run. So sometimes it goes up. 45 mile would be a good benchmark. If I just try and add in 1 extra 5-mile run a week, that's a good start. Or I could do 3-mile runs. You mentioned in, I think, one of your live streams recently that you should really aim to run for 40 minutes. Could I do maybe
at least, like once you get to like a pretty good fitness, like a minimum of like 40 minutes or something like that. So you could do like 40 to 60 minutes or something. Like that's what I would do like for my runs, like just my easy runs when I was in pretty good shape, like in college and stuff. I'd do like usually around like 45 to like 60 minutes, and then I would do like one long run a week of like 70 to like an hour and 45 or something like that. And like some people will do like 2-hour long runs. But like the general rule of thumb among runners is like don't have your total long run be more than 20% of your weekly mileage. And I mean, you could do it like every once in a while, or like some people even do like 25% of your weekly mileage. But the way you would kind of have to do some math, because it's not just like 20% of your weekly mileage like up until your long run at like say like the end of the week or something, but it would be like 20% of your mileage like if you were to do 15 miles, would that be 20% of your long runs or for your weekly miles. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, for me, that would probably be, say, for instance, I was doing 45 miles a week or something. Yeah, ideally, I'd like to get kind of 2 long runs in a week. I mean, what I could do is taper it down. Do you stop that? What I could do is taper it down to 2 10-mile runs a week rather than 14-mile runs a week. And that gives me 20 miles. And then if I do a 50-mile, then obviously that's way higher than 20%. That's more like 40%. But that's kind of like a starting point. And then at least I'm running on all of the other days as well. And
being consistent is like one of the biggest things. It's just like running like every day.
Nice. And what kind of like pace? Because at the moment I'm running on average, kind of the best pace I'm doing is 7:43 per mile on average and that's on a 14-mile run. And that, to a lot of people, I mean, I see some of the world's most elite triathletes, and they're going out for 10-mile runs when they're training for like triathlons and stuff. And they're doing it slower than I am, and I'm looking at Strava and stuff. I'm like, why the hell is this guy who's done 7 Ironmans in 1 year or whatever? Like, why are they running so slowly, and why are they only going for 10 miles? So I'm all, I just go with how my body feels. I'll say, today might be a 14-mile run day. If I'm exceptionally sore, it might only be a 9-mile day or something. I think what you said about, maybe try and tapering it into 1 balls to the wall hard run per week, then 1 maybe more like 9 or 10-mile run, and then the rest of them just 5-mile runs. And I can put that into my capacity actually, because when I go to the gym, I usually do I'm usually 2 hours in the gym 3 times a week for a full body workout. But obviously the first half hour of that is usually 15 minutes on the cross trainer warm up, and then it will either be kettlebell training or battling ropes training to kind of do the rest of the full body warm up, and then it will be, push-ups, pull-ups, etc. to warm up, and then the deadlifts will come, and then the heavy chest presses will come and stuff like that. So if I can incorporate, instead of doing that kind of first half hour, 40 minutes of cardio, maybe I could fit in a run like that. Do you think that would be a good idea? And then obviously, if you're training your legs as well, like I'm going into the gym and doing deadlifts afterwards, I guess it's less impact because you've already done 40 minutes of cardio. You go into the gym and you start lifting weights. It's not, if you've already done 40 minutes of running, it's not going to make much of a difference doing 4 sets of deadlifts, is it?
Yeah, I mean, usually we would do our lifting after running, just because, like, if you want to get better at running, like, you run, and like all the other stuff, is like helpful, but you really want to like feel really good like for your run. You want to like just have like really good form and stuff like for your run, and then since the deadlift and stuff is like secondary to running, then like I would just want to focus more on the running. So I would personally always want to do that first. But like if you're a lifter who wants to get better at running, then I would lift and then run, so that you have like, so that you're feeling like really good and can have like a great lifting workout beforehand.
Yeah, man, for sure. No, I completely get that, because when I was doing the triathlons and stuff, if I went for a swim in the morning and then to the gym afterwards, or if I went for a swim the evening before and then went for a run, either the gym would suffer or the run would suffer. And the gym and the running, like, I love swimming, but I preferred gymming and running, so it was
gymming.
Gymming. They were really, really sacrificing, I guess, and that's kind of I stopped that. I got a couple more questions for you, actually. The big one, go away. So I got 2 dogs here, and they're fighting.
Sure.
So the big one is probably stretching. So when I do my 13-mile runs, obviously it takes me about an hour and a half, sort of, if I'm running on average a 7:45 pace. So what's really kind of the big thing is I do that first 40 minutes first. I do the first 6-7 miles, and then I'll stretch. I'll just move the dogs. I'm going to move.
Yeah, okay.
Just move the dogs. What was I saying? Stretching. So I obviously do dynamic stretching beforehand.
Right, that's good.
And that's totally fine. And then some people might run for 6 minutes, and then they might stretch. Whereas for me, it's like I run for the first half hour, 40 minutes, and then stretch. What's your routine when it comes to stretching? And if, say for instance you were about to do a 13-mile race or a 10-mile race or even a 5K race, what would you do beforehand? Would you do dynamic stretching, do a proper warm-up, and then do static stretching, or would you just do dynamic stretching and stretch after that 13-mile race?
Yeah, so usually I would, my typical warm-up for races, races and workouts, they'll usually have roughly like the same warm-up. Easy runs and stuff, like I don't really warm up at all. Like I just go out the door and run, and then I'll stretch afterwards, static stretching. But usually for like a race or a workout, I'll do like a 2-mile, just like really, really easy jogging, like even easier than my easy pace. And then after that, I'll do like a dynamic stretching routine with like, high knees, butt kickers, like just like stuff like that. And also ones, so those are like speed drills to like really like get your muscles firing, and then other ones are like, I'll do like a groin stretch where like you stretch it for a second and then you take a step and then stretch with your other leg, and you take a step and stretch with your other leg, which I'll probably cover that in like one of my videos, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. So yeah, because I mean I would find that weird if I was to do a 13. I'm used to taking like a 2-minute break at the 40-minute mark, so basically halfway through my 13. And do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it's good if you're doing a 13-mile run or a 14-mile run or a 15-mile run to stop at maybe the 6 or 7-mile mark? And as long as it's been 40 minutes, like that's usually, I want to go for at least 40 minutes before I stretch, or even maybe half an hour. Do you think that's a good idea to stop, or do you reckon it's better to just keep on going through those 13 miles when you're training and then stretch before and after? What would be your preference?
I mean, honestly, I don't really think it matters that much. Personally, I just run all the way through and then I just stretch after. But like if you're running and like 40, 50 minutes in, like something's tight, like, stretch it. I just kind of, I don't know, I just train by feel kind of a lot of the time. So if you like doing it, then do it. And I personally am not a huge fan of it, but I'll do it. But if something's like really tight, I'll stop and stretch. But I don't usually like plan it into my run or anything.
Yeah, that's cool. I might try that one time. If I'm doing like maybe an 8, 9, 10-mile run, I might try just doing big dynamic stretches beforehand, and maybe a little warm up, and then and then go all the way through. And then usually I do all my stretches after that. I'll do them on the floor, proper post-workout stretches. I won't do any standing stretches. But yeah, I guess I'll try it. I mean, yeah, because to me, obviously, if I ever hypothetically did want to enter a race, a 13-mile race, I want to be used to being able to run that 13 miles straight. So it's a race, unless you're desperate for the loo or something. Yeah. Then that was the most British thing ever, desperate for the loo. But I don't think it's practical to stop halfway through a race or through a run or anything. So that was my main question for you, was regarding stretching. And let's see what else. You see, I made notes. Yeah. We've already covered, gym at the same time. You did go to the gym and you were doing things, but obviously how many times were you doing that? 2 or 3 times a week?
It was usually like 2 times a week. A third time would be like optional, but like we would have it planned into our training. So like I think it was maybe, so we'd always have a race on Saturday. We would have a long run on Sunday. I think Monday we would go easy. Tuesday would be hard. Wednesday would be easy. Thursday would be hard. Friday would be easy, and then we'd have a race on Saturday, and you just do that again. And then
if
you would just
felt like you needed a rest. If you really felt like you needed a rest day, is that what you took? Would you say to your coach, I need a day off training, or would it be incorporated into your training to take rest days, because they are important, especially in, I don't know so much about the running side of things, but I know in terms of gym and in terms of kind of swimming, especially in triathlon training, that rest days are important. How would you incorporate that into your training?
So if you're like on your own schedule, I would say plan for 7 days a week and then just take a day off whenever you feel like you need it. If you feel like you need it like once a week, but like maybe you feel really good and you like run for like a whole week, but you're just really busy on Wednesday, and you'll just have like your day will just be so much easier if you just take that day off, and you just haven't had one in a while. So like usually this is just my preference. Like I don't like to plan days off. I just take them when I need them, And usually it is like once a week. It could be like once every 10 days or something. But I mean, usually it'll just be like on a day when I'm going to go on an easy run anyway. I'll just take that day off, and then I'll be like more fresh the next day. But if it's on like a day that I was planning on doing a hard workout, like I'll just do the hard workout the next day. But like our coaches in college, although they did do some things right, I had some pretty horrible coaches. So they wouldn't really listen to you if you said you wanted a day off. They would just tell you that you're like being a pansy and like stuff like that. And it's not good.
That's over. I was on the basketball team. I had a very brief stint on the basketball team at university, but the coach was like so horrible and egotistical and stuff that I was like, no, I'm out. It was. Yeah, I can understand maybe to some extent where they're coming from, but I mean, come on, like
like, and the thing is, like, when you do a really hard effort, like, you're actually slower afterwards. You don't get faster until you recover afterwards. Like, if you don't give your body the chance to recover, you're just going to be breaking your body down, breaking it down, not breaking it down, building it up, breaking it down, building it up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
do you think if you're running 6 days a week, do you think that 48 hours is enough to help it recover?
Yeah, I mean, for most people, like, if you're in pretty good shape, then yeah, like, which you are. I mean, I ran 6 days a week all throughout high school and had like pretty great success. Like, I went from like my first 800-meter race I ever ran. I ran a 2:28 indoor track, and then by the time I was a senior, so it was like 4 years later, I ran 2:01. So I shaved 27 seconds off like a half a mile. And
that's really cool, man. That's really good. I guess. I guess I'm gonna start trying. I'm gonna start trying running 6 days a week and seeing how the legs do. Training in the gym at the same time. You know, no big deal. I can still train legs a little bit, and that will actually help as well. That will give me more power. I'm not skateboarding at all at the moment, and also weather's about to go completely balls to the wall, so I won't be doing that for any time. So I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can fit that in. And yeah, I think we'll try it. We'll try it, and I'll consult with you. I'll see how we're doing in a few weeks. I might start tapering down my longer runs. You know, I don't necessarily need to be going out and running for an hour and 45, 2 hours at a time. It is fun, but it's also not necessary. So now this is probably really, really self-explanatory because you obviously have a YouTube channel which displays what you eat in a day. But in terms of like, you know, your running fuel and stuff, I know that some of the kind of endurance athletes in the world, a lot of them like to utilize secondary sources of energy such as fat stores and things, which is why people like Rich Roll and John Joseph are very lean. I know when Rich Roll is in the middle of the race, some of his preferred things to have are almond butter sandwiches, avocado sandwiches, and sometimes he'll have like pasta or brown rice and lentils with cashew cheese in the evening. What would you recommend to be a good macronutrient split nutrition-wise for both cross-country runners but also fast runners as well?
If I'm just going to be completely honest, I don't know that macros really matter that much. Like, as long as you're getting enough carbohydrates in, just because what you eat is like, as long as you're getting enough carbohydrates, your body's going to burn fat when it needs to burn fat and burn carbs when it needs to burn carbs, because what you eat doesn't really determine that much of like what you actually burn. It's more of like the type of exercise you're doing. So like when you're doing like really high intensity, like say sprinting or like lifting really hard, you're using like almost entirely carbohydrates. And then when you're doing like really low intensity stuff, you're just burning fat because your body's trying to like save your carbohydrates for when you actually need them, because you have somewhere around like 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrates that you can like store if like you're completely topped up in like your muscles, your liver, and everything like that. Whereas fat, you have somewhere, the average person will probably, you might have like on the lower end, but like the average person will have somewhere between 60,000 to 100,000 extra calories of stored fat to use for energy. So like, you're not going to run out of that. And like,
that's not, that's also, because the main kind of thing was, obviously I knew that like if I was to do a fast, like a really, really fast short run, or sprinting or anything, that would be using carbohydrates. But if you're using, you know, if you're doing something like a 15-mile run, you kind of need more go-all-day fuel, as I call it. So, you know, you do kind of need to be utilizing fat stores. Would you say that when you're doing something like that, obviously it is quite intense because it's hard work to run that far, and it's very high impact on your body. It's not like cycling 15 miles, it's you're running.
Yeah.
Would you say that's utilizing both sources of fuel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like most of the time, like, so what happens like when you're burning, like say when you're sleeping, you're burning like 99% fat. and you're burning like 1% carbohydrates, because your body, the way that my exercise physiology professors explained it was like you need you kind of need like carbohydrates to like is like the flame that like keeps the fat burning. So like you still need carbohydrates even when you're burning fat. So like at your absolute like not doing anything, you're burning like 99% fat. And then like it's just kind of like, instead of thinking like an on and an off switch for carbs and fat, it's kind of like a dimmer. Like like as you get like more intense, you start burning like more carbohydrates and more fat. So like on like an easy run, it could be like half and half. But then like as you do like a tempo run, it might be like 75% carbohydrates and like 25% fat. And then if you're like sprinting, like it's all carbs. Like, because you can actually burn like 100% carbs if you're going like really hard for a very short amount of time. But if you're burning if you're not going that hard, then it's constantly like going up and down. But you're always burning carbohydrates, and sometimes you're most of the time you're burning fat. But like I said, like you're not gonna run out of it, so you don't have to worry like, oh, I got to make sure I get my fat in today. I mean, even if you didn't, even if you weren't eating enough fat, like, and you're getting like too many carbohydrates, like your body would turn that into fat. So like you're always gonna have the fat, you know. But you know, it is also important to get your essential fatty acids, because your body can't make, you know, omega-3s and stuff like that. But I'm sure you already know that anyway.
Yeah. I had a client earlier actually. I had him at about 3:30 p.m. this afternoon, and the poor guy, I was making him do a bleep test. And I took him out for like a quick, just 10-minute run around where he lived, as you Yanks call it, the block or whatever. I took him out. I got him to do a bleep test, and then at the end he was like, you know, had his face in his palms, and I was like, "What have you eaten today?" I was like, "Have you had any oats, like I told you to? Have you had any rice? Have you had any fruit? Have you had any lentils, anything like that?" He was like, "No, like I just had a bit of chicken for lunch, you know." Like he's a big meat eater. I'm slowly, you know, getting him onto. I'm trying to, you know, get through to him that a plant-based diet, and basing his diet, even not necessarily a plant-based diet, but basing the massive bulk of his calories off of whole grains, lentils, legumes, potatoes, vegetables, fruits, etc. And he just burnt out completely. And he said, "Why am I not getting a pump from this? Why am I not getting energized? Why?" And I was like, "You need glycogen. You need in your muscles. Like, you know, you can't run a mile right now. You couldn't do this bleep test, and you know, with battling ropes, he was really struggling. And I think he needed to learn that lesson. I said to him, like, you know, and I said to him, next time we train next week, you'll know better. It's a lesson learned. And yeah, I can't believe, I was thinking afterwards, I was like, how can there be any athletes in the world? I mean, I think even like Conor McGregor and people like that, you know, they're on very high meat diets and not eating enough carbohydrates, probably why he keeps losing. But it's did you watch that fight, by the way?
No, I didn't. I don't even know when it was. I think it was like, was it like a week ago or something?
Yeah, something like that. I was like, yeah, all right. There was like all this fuss about it and stuff, and I was like, if I want to see some like annoying ginger chav get beaten up by a guy who wears too much gold, I'll just go down to the pub. Like,
That's an interesting way to put it.
I'm just gonna do some inset, because I was actually vlogging today.
Oh,
as
sure.
You can see, I'm still in like the days where you vlog with your iPhone.
Oh yeah, no, I was there not that long ago.
Oh yeah, I know. I followed your channel for quite a long time. So no egg Craig, however you say it. Bloody awesome. Do some. That's so sick. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I think that's everything I had to ask you regarding this topic. Can you inform us quickly, me and your followers, but mainly me, because I'm asking. I'm curious. What are your PRs and things like that?
Okay. So pretty much all of these were set in high school. Because, you know, when I went to college, I became paralyzed, and it was like, it's really hard to run when you can't use your legs. So a lot of these were set when I was like 14, 15 years old, 16, so it's not that great. But my best 400 was like 54 seconds. My best 800 was like 2 minutes and 1 second. My best, well, it wasn't like a mile, because a mile, I don't know if you know, like a mile is 1,609 meters. like 9.33 or something like that. I don't know, but I ran a 1600 in 4:38, and then I think my next best. So for 5K, actually, funny story with my 5K, my PR actually was during an 8K. Oh, my phone Siri thinks I'm calling her or something. So my 5K PR is actually during an 8K. I ran like the first 5K and they like yelled off your time. I was like, well, that's the fastest time I've ever run a 5K in. And I only actually got to do a couple 8Ks because I got sick like pretty shortly after that. But I ran 17:08 for that 5K, and then I still had like 3 more K to go, and I didn't slow down actually. I kept the same pace, if not improved, because like I usually, if it's like longer than a mile, I like to go out kind of conservatively and then pick it up. But if it's like a mile or less, I do better if I go out a little bit faster. Like, and with like a 400 meter race, like I need to go out like as fast as I possibly can, and then I just need to die the last 200 and like just completely fall off. And I actually run way faster. And like you can't really like try to pace a 400. Like you just won't want to run a very fast time. You'll have too much left.
And I got a lot of work in me, because obviously you obviously, you know, you're trained kind of fully across the board. You can do long distance runs, you can do fast 5Ks and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start getting diverse. I actually, you know what, when the spring comes around, I might have to fly to New York and hire you my coach or something.
Yeah.
I'll come to that running camp next year. I'll be the 27-year-old camper.
Yeah. Actually, if I could tell you like kind of like I guess like more specifically about like a training plan, I think it might help you too. Like, so have you been doing like how long have you been doing like this base work of like just like running like long distances?
Probably about 3 months.
Okay.
So not too long. Back when I was in Florida, I started running just to kind of explore Florida, and a little bit in Thailand just for fun, again exploring. But you know, I was very, very new to it. I couldn't run, you know, 2 miles without needing a break to stretch or anything. That was how new I was to it. I was up until that point, I was just skateboarding, gym, swimming, and that was it, and some cycling. And then when the weather got here, and also when I had that blood clot in my leg from flying back from Florida to England, because of that reason, I had to find other forms of exercise, because you have to exercise when you have a blood clot, basically. And I couldn't skate, and had all this pent up energy from having to sit around and occasionally rest my leg and stuff. So started running, and I would run for 5K turned into 7K turned into 10K, and then maybe 10K would only be like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. So my kind of endurance still hadn't built up that long. This was I think about March, April this year. And then, you know what's really interesting, actually, speaking of macronutrients, is since I started taking hemp protein, both my recovery from running and recovery from the gym has just gone like that. Yeah. I mean, I think you I've seen how many cans of beans you and your family. I know you probably have always eaten kind of maybe a higher ratio of like beans than I do. They're just not kind of something I'm interested in. Or something
I just happen to really like high protein vegan food. Like it's
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like I love quinoa and stuff like that, and I don't mind like, you know, sprouted lentils or something, but I'd so much rather just, you know, have a banana smoothie or something like that. Just anything easy. So once I upped my protein intake, not that much, it's only 90 to 100 grams a day, but it was 60 to 70. Knock it up a bit. It's like, recovery is so much better. And since that recovery has got better, my running has gone from, you know, 6 or 7 mile runs to the 10-mile runs. And now 10-mile run is the least I will do on an average day, but I am only running 3 days a week. And it could be, I don't know if I'm like a raging egomaniac and it allow myself to run less than 10 miles, but that's basically I've just given you my whole story of the last year. So like, I mean, like your base training, you should like if it's helpful
to like run when like nobody's around, so that you don't feel the need to like, oh, there's a person, I got to speed up and go by him, or like some, or like or like yeah. I mean, I know that feeling. But when you're doing like your base mileage, it should be like really unimpressive runs, and then like when you do like say like a tempo run, like I think that like right now like you're pretty close to the point where like you could probably start like working in like harder run workouts, like specific workouts, so tempo runs work like your lactate threshold, and then like say like intervals like 400 800 meter intervals would work like your VO2 max. You could probably be doing like like one long run a week, one easy or one day off, one tempo run, and like one VO2 max workout. And I mean, like in the beginning, like say you do have like a goal race, like a couple months, like maybe 4 or 5 months down the line, you want to race a 5K or something. I would probably suggest doing like more tempo runs, like maybe two tempo runs a week, and then as you get closer, then start doing like one tempo run, one VO2 max, and then just like kind of keep it like that. I wouldn't probably do I probably wouldn't do 2 VO2 max workouts in a week. But
what's a good pace to be doing tempo run at, would you kind of suggest?
So what you can do, there's 2 different things. Do you have a heart rate monitor?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So if you do what was that?
Keep it at 120 beats per minute, something like that.
For your well, it just depends what your max heart rate is. Do you know what your maximum heart rate is?
Oh god, yeah, my max heart rate is pretty high actually. Okay. It's like 170. So
wait, 170?
Yeah. No, maybe a bit less.
Wait, yeah, no, that sounds actually like really low. Like I think like I went for a run. It was a really hard run. It wasn't like I didn't sprint it in, like I didn't kick it in or anything, but my heart rate was like 191 by the end.
Let me see if I've got it here actually. It'll be in one of I've still got hold on, there's all this crap on the table. Here we are. See, I wrote it down in my book when I was training. I've got the results somewhere from a VO2 max test that I did. Oh crap. Okay. Right. I think
should be like close to 200.
Yeah, I think that might be me there. See, 3 of us did it, and I had to test 2 other people and then test myself doing it. And yeah, can you see that if I hold it close to the camera?
Which one is it?
I think I'm the middle one. Does that make sense?
Can you move it up? Oh yes, 162. Yeah, it says 162, I think. But that sounds. I mean, sometimes I get like when I'm going up a hill, like say I'm on like an easy run, I go up a hill. Sometimes I'll get up to 162 doing that, and I'm not like dying. I don't know, like so like usually you can ballpark it by doing like 220 minus your age. So you'd probably be like I don't know 194. I can't do the math in my head, but probably like 193 or something like that. So if you
yeah,
and that's a good ballpark. But if you actually want to find out. You could do your tempo runs either by doing like around 88% of your max heart rate for like 20 minutes sustained.
That's cool. Yeah, I can do that.
Or what you could do is like you could just run a 5K kind of like as a time trial. Like you could do it like next week or something like that. Like you don't have to be in great shape, but you just have to like know what you're capable of. And then there's charts online that'll tell you like if you can run a 21-minute 5K, then you should be running like this for your tempo pace. And you should be running like this for your race pace. And like, so you can, I think you can look it up. It's called a V, and just dot, like a dotting an I. But there's something, I think Jack Daniels came up with it. He was a running coach. Yeah, I know. But he's a really, really well-known running coach. You can look up Jack Daniels, V dot. And he has like a bunch of books actually. You might even be able to get one at like your library or something. But I know you can buy one online. I think his first book came out in like early 2000s. So I think it would be like really cheap by now if you just wanted to get that. But if you wanted to get like one of his more recent ones, I don't think it'd be any more than like a little over 10 or 15 bucks or something. But so it has a lot about actual training, and it also has like the VDOT charts. So like you can literally just look at your time and say these are all the paces that I should be running for these workouts. And it'll tell you like which ones to like when to do certain workouts. So like it explains everything really well. So if you want to like get that book, I would highly suggest it. I think it's Dr. Jack Daniels' running formula or something like that. We used that like in high school. Our coach used that, and it was really effective. We did that kind of training like all throughout high school and had like really great results.
Nice.
Yeah.
Solid. Okay, cool. I'm gonna start getting a bit more diverse with my workouts, VO2 max tests, and yeah, do some more tempo runs. I think obviously there's if you're doing the same run and you're not progressing, it's time to change something. And I I haven't progressed further than 15 miles, and yeah, my mileage needs to go up. And yeah, cool, man. That was solid, man. I think we covered everything. Was there anything you wanted to cover?
I think that last part was it. I just wanted to like tell you to do something other than like just straight running, because like when like I think I covered in one of my videos about like all the benefits you get from easy running, and like that's why you should keep your easy runs easy. Like it's basically a recovery day from your hard runs. But like when you're building a base, like they should all just be easy because you just need those adaptations that you don't have yet. But then, like I said, like when you're doing tempo runs, you get lactate threshold benefits. So like all the different workouts, they all have like different specific needs. So like any good coach should tell you like this is why you're doing this tempo run. It'll help you like a couple weeks later on in the season. Maybe this is why you're doing this VO2 max workout now rather than earlier in the season. Like usually what you do, I'm sure you know this from being a personal trainer, is like you start your training periodization with like really high volume, like low intensity, and then as the season progresses, you start doing less volume and start doing higher intensity until like maybe the last week. You still keep up. Well, actually, no. You just keep doing that, and like the last week, you'll take like a really big kind of dip in volume, but you still keep up that high intensity. Like before, a race, like our goal race at the end of the season, like for 800. One of my favorite workouts was do like 4 200s in 30 seconds, and then just take like a 200-meter jog break, and then you would do 400s in like 59 seconds, and then take a 400-meter jog break, and then do 4 more 200s. So that's like a really intense workout, but it was like pretty short. Like I did, so it's like half mile. So it was like 1.25 miles, I think, of like a total workout, and then like my warm up and cool down stuff before and after. But then like earlier in the season, I might do mile repeats. So I'd do like a 2-mile warm up, do like 4-mile repeats, and then a 2-mile cool down. So that's like 8 miles worth of working out. So like you're still doing like higher, like somewhat of intensity stuff, but it's like much higher volume, and then your intensity is ramped up way like a lot more, and then you're doing a lot less volume.
That's a really, really good idea. Yeah, definitely. And did you say you did hill training at the same time as well?
Yeah. So like in cross country, we would do we just have our hard days would just sometimes be our hilly days. And our easy days, sometimes we would just run at like this. I go to Green Lakes all the time, and there's just a state park near me. You probably heard me talking about it in my videos, but we went there like when I was in high school, so I really know the trails really well. But like we would just, as long as you're keeping like the same relative effort, like going up the hill, like it'll probably go up a little bit if you're going up a really massive hill. But like, we would just do it on like our easy runs. And then we would do it on our hard days too. Like as long as you're,
dude, where I live, everywhere is hills, man.
Yeah, if you're used to it, like, it's nothing new. Like, you're not, like, putting any new stress on your body. So, like, it's just, like, not putting any huge new stress on your body. Like, if you're used to running hills, then you're used to running hills. But, like, it just depends on, like, what your goal race is, I guess. Like in track, I wouldn't do hills because I'm racing on a track. Like, there's not going to be a hill. But in cross country, I would work on hills because there's going to be a lot of hills. So it just depended on like what my goal race was going to be. Because like you're not necessarily like when you're running track or cross country, you're not necessarily training to be fast. You're training to be fast on a cross country course in spikes. So then like in college and stuff, like we didn't do it so much in high school. But if I was a high school coach, I would have the kids do it in high school where like they would train in spikes. Like I was a track coach for a little bit at my old high school, and I had them train in spikes, like for the workouts. For like their easy runs, they went in like running shoes and stuff. But for their like track workouts, I would have them running in spikes because like you do use your muscles a little bit differently when you're running in spikes.
Yeah, man, I gotta get on the. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I gotta hit the track. Okay, cool, man. That's really, really awesome. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try throwing in easy runs to try and boost up my mileage, go a bit slower, make it really easy. And then obviously, you're still working your muscles, and when you rest, they are getting stronger. I think it's actually, it's like they say, you got to slow down to get better. Like I think everyone abides by that. Yeah. I
But or 30 minutes at a time. 30 seconds, that'd be horrible. But yeah, so he's just keeping his easy days easy and his hard runs hard. So like for easy runs, I would always err on the side of easier rather than hard. And then hard days, it depends. Like tempo runs are kind of specific because you'd have like I would actually suggest subscribing to another channel called VO2 Max Productions. He has a lot of videos specifically about like tempo runs and like stuff like that. And he's actually plant-based too. He's been vegetarian his whole life, and I think he just like he calls himself like plant-based because I think he'll occasionally eat some animal products because like he just does it like for performance and like health. I don't know that he's really concerned about ethics or anything like that. But yeah, so he's a really great channel. He explains everything. But basically, if you're doing lactate threshold workout, you're not going to get the benefit if you go too fast. You'll actually get a VO2 max workout if you go too fast, which is not necessarily what you want. Like if you want a VO2 max workout, then you do that. But if you do your tempo run too fast, then you're not going to get that lactate threshold benefit. And like same thing with like your easy runs. If you do your easy run too fast, you're probably not going to get the benefits of your easy run. You're probably actually going to get the benefits of a lactate threshold run. Yeah. So it depends like what you're trying to do. Just make sure you're running at that pace. So like for easy runs, I would say like 70% of your max heart rate or even a little slower. And then for like tempo runs, it would be like maybe 85 to 88% of your max heart rate. So that's kind of like a smaller range. I mean, you could probably, I'd say like maybe 80 to 90% of your max heart rate if you need like a bigger range. But 88 is like the 85 to 88 is like the sweet spot. And then VO2 max is like, it depends what race you're doing, but it's a lot higher than that. So it's usually like pretty short, faster stuff.
Oh man, yeah, like you said, like running like an old man or whatever you said.
Shuffling like an old man.
Usually it's like it's so common. I think this goes for a lot of runners that it's the complete opposite. And like I said, where I live, if I go out of my house, I have two options. I can either run straight up a hill or I can run straight down a hill.
Yeah.
And also I listen to heavy metal when I run. So if I'm running down the hill, I'm listening to heavy metal. I'll be like,
yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Usually everyone wonders why I'm always quite angry after a run. It's because I'm usually listening to heavy metal bands, and a lot of them are anti-government and vegan heavy metal bands, so they all really get you in a bad mood. But listen, man, that was awesome. I've got a dash. It's getting on. It's now 7 p.m. here, so have a good rest of your day. And
yeah, you too, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, it was so awesome speaking to you. Thanks so much for that, and thanks for answering my questions.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
All right, man. Peace out.
Right.
Take care.
Yeah, see ya.